All right, guys, super excited for today. Obviously, because I have a special guest, Emmanuel Raj, on the Ravit Show. And today we'll be talking about a lot of things, but our main topic would be obviously MLOps, engineering MLOps, because he's the author of Engineering MLOps. We'll be talking a lot around AI. We'll be talking a lot around his book and machine learning AI. So yes, definitely bring up your questions and please feel free to put in hashtag MLOps since we are giving away two books at this event. Also, before I get in, Emmanuel, I'll just give a little brief about who Emmanuel is. Emmanuel Raj is the member of European AI Alliance, affiliate researcher at Arcade University, senior machine learning and AI and data science center of excellence, and the author of engineering ML ops. So that's why we have him on the show today. So before bringing him on, definitely wanted to thank my partners 365 Data Science, and here we go. Hey Emmanuel, welcome to the Ravit Show.
Hey Ravit, good to be here. Thank you.
Awesome, I can hear you well. Finally, we don't have any technical issues. Fingers crossed, we don't face anything because I was just telling Emmanuel that it was raining very heavily in Mumbai since morning. So, keeping my fingers crossed throughout. And also, we can see Avery is there. Hey, Avery. So awesome. So I was just telling people about engineering MLOps, the book that you've written. Congratulations on the publication of your book, Emmanuel. We'll be talking a lot around MLOps. So can you tell us more? First of all, are we giving away books, engineering MLOps, at the event today?
Yeah, I think it's worth to give it away, and people are really excited about MLOps, and it will help someone out there.
Yes, so definitely people who are joining in, please feel free to mention hashtag MLOps and enter the competition because we'll be choosing two winners before we wrap up the show. So to start with, Emmanuel, why not introduce yourself to everyone here?
Yeah, Rohit. First of all, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the show. I see a lot of experts, and I learned a lot from this show personally. My name is Emmanuel Raj. I'm based in Finland, Helsinki. I'm a senior machine learning engineer with 6+ years experience, and I work at a company called Tieto Every, based in Finland. And also, while working in the industry, I try to keep myself busy with research because there are a lot of exciting problems to solve out there. So I'm doing research at Arkada University of Applied Sciences, based in Helsinki, Finland. And also I engage myself with European Commission, where I'm the member of European AI Alliance, try to have these important discussions with the high-level expert group around ethics and the developments around AI, because it's a very important field and it will impact the society in a vast way. So yeah, that's a bit about me, and I've lived in 4 countries and traveled around 30 countries so far. So I like to meet new people and travel the world. And
Awesome.
that's about me.
That's superb. So, Emmanuel, to ask you about you've obviously been to many companies, you've been to many countries, but I had a question. You started obviously writing a book, but what was that first place which intrigued you to get into data science field? Because I know you are from India, and how did it all start? Can we know more about it?
Yeah, it all started 7 years back
Hmm.
when I was in India and I was still a student back there
Awesome.
doing my bachelor's in computer science. I have to admit I was not the best student out there. I've always had interest in building computer applications, but one class changed it all for me. It was a class of artificial intelligence where
Uh-huh.
uh, it opened my eyes that we don't have to build a software in a deterministic way. It can
Mhm.
be undeterministic. It can be without rules. I was introduced to this fuzzy logic and neural networks, which changed my
Wow.
perspective and got me excited. And that's where I got interested in AI. And Along the way, I went to marketing, I went to software development, then I discovered my interest and passion is about AI, and I delved into it.
Wow. So just one class and such a huge change in your life. So how do you feel about it? Is it like a dream come true, or is it like you've really felt that pain in last 7 years to get here, or how does it work?
It is certainly a dream come true, and I think I'm fortunate to work on something I'm passionate every day. That itself is a blessing. And yeah, the journey was full of ups and downs. Somewhere there has to be pain in order to grow. So the AI field has been changing very fast, and we got to
Mhm.
learn fast and keep up with the development. So it's been an
Definitely.
exciting journey like that. A bit of pain, a bit of excitement, and at the end, it's a win-win.
Okay, that's awesome. So we have a few people joining in. Let's just greet them. Robert Robinson is here. Hey, Robert. Then we have Akshay Toshniwal joining in. And we have obviously the hashtag MLOps in the comment section, because obviously we are giving away two books of engineering MLOps by Emmanuel Raj. So folks who are joining in and just joining, to let you know, we are giving away two e-copies of Emmanuel's book. Just have to type in hashtag MLOps, and that's it. So moving on, Emmanuel, we obviously have Kate here. Hey, Kate. So everyone's here wanting to know more about you, Emmanuel. So moving on, obviously, since you spoke about AI and you just touched that base, I wanted to know a little more about it. So talking of that, is data the fundamental reason why AI succeeds or fails? What do you think? What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I think without data, there is no AI or machine learning.
Hmm.
In order to build intelligent systems, the fuel is data, and that's the real thing that is needed. And there are many definitions out there about AI, but to simplify it, I use this sort of a mathematical expression, which contains three components. Which first is the data, of course, data is important. Second is the machine learning, which constitutes of statistical models and also the models which make the best decisions out of the data you plug in. And third is the most important, which is the human in the loop. Without the humans, AIs can't be nurtured, can't be taken in the right direction, and it's truly a partnership at the end. So I would say AI is data plus machine learning plus human in the loop.
Wow. So I should actually get away from that cliche quote that says, which actually says, that AI will replace humans, which is not true. You just mentioned that it's human who make the AI very special, if I'm not wrong, right?
Agreed completely. It's humans augment, it augments, AI augments the human life, and it goes vice versa as well.
Awesome. So we have a question from Kate here. Let's just take this question. What would you say is the key difference between a data scientist and machine learning engineer? Wow, interesting question.
Interesting question, and this has been gaining a lot of popularity because machine learning
Exactly.
engineering is a new role, and we had data scientists for some time already. Data
Exactly.
scientists are people who are really good at math, statistics, modeling, and they are really
Hmm.
focused on picking the right algorithms for solving the business problems. And
Right.
machine learning engineer is someone who knows a bit of data science, can be a pro, and it's okay not to be a pro as well. But they know really well data engineering and also ML ops together. So it's really a combination of data engineering, ML ops, and a bit of DevOps as well. So it's all about productionizing machine learning for machine learning engineers, and for data
Yeah.
scientists, it's about making the right decisions and pioneering the AI system, bringing the maximum business value. Both go hand in hand.
Okay. That sounds a reasonable differentiation between data scientist and machine learning. It's basically the engineer is playing around before the decision making, like for the data scientist. Can we say that?
We can say that, yeah.
Hmm. Exactly, that's what I was wondering. And I always, whenever it's since data engineering has been one of the most hot topic, we see Andreas Kratz talking about data engineering very well. We see data Seattle guy talking about data engineering. So I had this question for you: how hot is data engineering today, and why is it become this hot? Suddenly, or maybe it was always hot. It's just that it's identified right now.
Yeah, I agree. It's been identified lately, and we have been increasingly realizing the importance of engineering the data because, as we see over the last decade or couple of years, exponentially grown the data in terms of velocity, volume, variety, and veracity. So, in order to cope with all of this, we need engineers and experts who are able to build those pipelines and provide the right data for the data scientists and the people who are experts in modeling to work around that data. So we are the world is changing, infrastructure is changing, and so do we
Yeah.
need people who adopt quickly and to the data and also to the environments and make it very relevant for the company to work with the right tools and the data as well.
Wow, definitely. That kind of sums up why engineering is kind of picking up. And was that one of the reasons why you picked up engineering MLOps as the topic of your book? I'm curious to know about it. Why engineering MLOps and why not maybe somewhere around data science, or what was the basic reason behind picking up engineering MLOps as the topic?
Yeah, there are lots of theoretical resources available out there. And when I started working on MLOps myself 2.5 years back, uh,
Mm-hmm.
then I couldn't find many hands-on resources that would really teach me
Exactly.
step by step for different tooling. So I thought there are a lot of theoretical resources available out there, and it's an opportunity to make a hands-on book
Right.
that can help others. So that's why, as it's focused more on engineering side and hands-on
Right.
application. So I have named it Engineering MLOps, and I think it fits the content well at the end. So that's the
So
reason.
basically, no, I think definitely that's something very thoughtful of you to do that. So basically, what type of audience does this book cater to? Is it for the people who are the engineers or who are getting into engineering, or is it very advanced level because it doesn't specify which audience does it cater? Obviously, I know because now I have read the PI, I know the product information and all of those things. So if for the audience, what would you say?
Yeah, I would say it's focused mainly for people who are knowing a bit of machine learning, data
Yeah.
science, and a bit of Python, and they've done work around software engineering and to help them level up to learning machine learning ops to deploy in a systematic way the machine learning systems and also to monitor them. So the data scientists are one of the target groups, and then the machine learning engineers, data engineers, and also
Wow.
the book covers theoretical concepts. I've kept it as broad as possible for business people. Any business person or tech person working in a tech company, I think that book might be relatable and can help you know a bit more about MLOps and the value it brings for your organization.
Awesome. I think that definitely does make sense. And Robert here says yes, yeah, Python. So yeah, it all makes sense. We have a few questions. There was an interesting question on YouTube from Saurabh Bakshi. So how does ML Ops trying to tackle the data labeling problems? Is there anything happening on this front, or is it still confined to the model building steps?
Good question, sir. I think there are many big vendors out there and also startups working on this problem to club data labeling to the MLOps workflow. And it's also an important component for the ML models to have this continuous also in production. So I think all these big cloud vendors such as Azure, the Microsoft, AWS from Amazon, and also the Google GCP, they are clubbing this component to label your data uh, to their tooling that they have. And otherwise, there are some great startups that are working also on these problems. And we can just plug and play using their SDKs and APIs into our MLOps workflow. So I think it's taking a good shape to to come together to the MLOps workflow. Data labeling is
Yeah.
important indeed.
Yeah, definitely does make sense and kind of answers Saurav's question. Thanks for this interesting question, Saurabh. Also, I had a question for you. Since we were talking, we've shifted kind of towards engineering, but coming back to somewhere which where we were talking about AI. I had an interesting question which directly talks about why why AI is actually all the projects are kind of failing. Most of the projects are failing. Do you have reasons for it, Emmanuel? Do you have any idea? How does it work?
Yeah, well, there was a lot of hype around AI, at least for the last 4 or 5 years, that we must
Exactly.
say. And a lot of funding was provided to the startups, and also companies were working on building AI products. But it turned out, and there was an article and a lot of discussion in 2019. It
Mm-hmm.
was an article by Gartner where it says 87% of the machine learning or AI projects are failing, and they are not able to go to production and really get the business value that they are
Right.
supposed to. So we in the last year and this year, I think there's a lot of tools and ecosystem that are developed around MLOps, and MLOps is bringing it together where you can use the best of the infrastructure available out there and make the
Right.
best workflow to make sure that you're able to deploy your models in production and also monitor the product of models in production. So that really,
Right.
I think, makes the project successful. And I think that trend is changing. The hype is coming down for AI, or at least it's becoming a norm in life. AI is
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. You pick up the phone, it's there. You pick up the computer, it's there. You're walking, it's there. So we're really going
Exactly.
to the world like that, and it's improving because thanks to MLOps, we will see more and more adoption of AI into the software, and even the legacy systems.
Mm-hmm. So, would you say that AI is kind of getting stagnant, but is still the same? It still has the same, demand, or is it kind of diminishing a bit?
At least the hype where a lot of people didn't know what the
Yeah.
technology was about, that hype is going away. And
Yeah.
people are getting the know how because a lot of people out there are taking machine learning courses, and we are all educating ourselves in AI because it's becoming an important part of our life. So that's why I say that at least that hype where people didn't really know what AI was and the
Mm-hmm.
actual know how is reducing. But we're also having some problems that MLOps is addressing, such as lack of continual learning in production, because the real value of AI is accomplished through continuously learning from the changing environment, the data, and the business, the users as well. So these
Right.
kind of problems are being solved with AI, and the know-how of AI is increasing. So I think the world is heading to an interesting place.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. And also, Emmanuel, there was a question since we were talking about machine learning for AI. There was a question for anyone. I don't know who the LinkedIn user is, but for anyone wanting to learn ML for AI, what are the best first steps?
Yeah, first best steps is to really understand what AI is,
Right.
because AI can be anything and it's subjective definition for people. We really need to
Right.
get objective. So it can mean for some people that AI is some artificial general intelligence just taking control over us and trying to rule over us and we being in
Mm-hmm.
situation. Or for some people, it might mean some statistical models or algorithms, which we call as narrow AI. So it's important to understand this distinction and start learning the algorithms. There are a lot of great online courses, materials out there that will teach you about some important machine learning algorithms. I would recommend
Right.
some of the courses out there to look into algorithms such as support vector machines, random forests, and so forth. And once you
Mm-hmm.
know that, just pick up Python as a programming language. It's easy. Learn this object-oriented programming and try to implement these algorithms in a step-by-step manner, so you understand what the algorithms are and how they're implemented, and you
Mm.
understand the decision making that happens by using this algorithm. So these are some first best steps that you can take, and I think Ravit can recommend you some great courses. He's
Oh
always
yes.
sharing a lot of free resources out there, so follow him on that.
Thanks for that. Yes, definitely. If anyone needs some learning material, I'm always out there and happy to recommend some. So, but yeah, thanks for that, Emmanuel. Definitely, if you have any, and people can reach out to you on LinkedIn and they can ask you about the courses and about how step by step they can learn something about machine learning for AI. So before I come to Anmol's question, there's an interesting question that Anmol has. But before that, obviously, since the question is around MLOps, I wanted to know if you want to explain MLOps to a layman, what is actually MLOps and how does it work and what it is. So can you
Yeah,
share more about it, Emmanuel?
yeah. For a layman, I think it's simple to explain it this way. When we discovered or invented electricity,
Yeah.
uh, and it happened through flying a kite, and we discovered electricity, and we wanted to distribute it to homes, and we didn't have the standard process, or let's say the factories at the beginning
Mhm.
where we could standardize the way we produce mass produce electricity and distribute it to homes or offices or all the public places. So
Yeah.
right now we are in that phase where AI is the new electricity, and this is a quote by Andrew Ng, and
Yeah.
it's quite popular out there, so I'm just quoting. So since AI is the new electricity, we need a new process or a
Hmm.
mechanism to distribute this powerful technology to businesses, to users. So MLOps is really that process, and it's having origins from the way we have been developing software, and it comes down from DevOps. DevOps is really the driving force of MLOps, and it
Right.
takes into these principles of continuous integration and continuous deployment, where you are able to do fast deployments using these CI/CD pipelines.
Hmm.
MLOps is really this mindset where you put data, business, machine learning, all of this in one package and try to address the business problems using AI. So it's a process and a workflow that has been recently developing to
Hmm.
mass produce AI and to make AI projects more successful.
Wow, it's like a secret behind AI. There's a secret machine, which is much biggerly known as now MLOps, and but it has a lot of ingredients to it, I can say. It's like a whole package in very interesting one. Thanks for that, Emmanuel. It was interesting. So we are just in time for our first lucky draw. Can we just have that going, Emmanuel? Before I ask Anmol's question, I know Anmol's question is out there waiting for us.
Awesome. I think it's exciting. Let's do that.
Okay, fantastic. Here we go. So we have 11 entries, and here we go. One, two, three, go. Let's see who's the winner for data engineering. Sorry, engineering MLOps. All right. Akshay
Wow.
Toshniwal, congratulations.
Congrats,
Wow,
Akshay.
that's fantastic. So, yes, coming back to Anmol's question. Before that, I will just let people know that this was for Engineering MLOps, the book by Emmanuel Raj. You guys can also win it. We'll be doing a second lucky draw. Hashtag MLOps is something that you need to put in the chat section and we'll get the ball rolling for you. So, okay, I'll just quickly take the Anmol question, no more curiosity around it. Can you shed some more light on how to get into MLOps? Something about the initial steps, for whom is it for? So, yeah, interesting question.
Yeah, some initial steps that you can get started with MLOps is by knowing what the process is all about. So I'll just give you a brief on how the process goes and how is it different from DevOps,
Yeah,
because MLOps brings in data and code together. So when you're developing machine learning systems, you have data which is changing over time, and you have code which is also changing over time to keep up with
right.
the data. And if you don't have MLOps, both of these are going in parallel directions, and you have a lot of overhead in order to maintain your machine learning system. So MLOps really brings all these things together in a systematic way. So in order to get started with MLOps, I would recommend you to read about the process, and it's really a modular workflow where you build machine learning models using a ML pipeline. Then you have a pipeline to deploy your ML service, and then you have a monitor component where you monitor the ML service in production. So I recommend you check out the Engineering MLOps book. It's a good place to
Yes.
start. It has steps from the beginning, and it so that you don't have to get lost out there in a lot of content, and it provides step-by-step theoretical concepts and also practical implementations to
Yeah.
learn MLOps. And MLOps is for anyone who's working around data, and it's a
Hmm.
mindset, it's a process to drive value from data and machine learning. So I recommend it to anyone who works on data, data scientists, data engineers, product owners, and also business people who are working with BI tools and also around BI decision making in companies. So
Awesome. I think that definitely is very brief and very good steps to get into MLOps and for whom it is. So thanks, Emmanuel. And definitely, your book is the talk of the town. I've seen your book everywhere, at least on LinkedIn, everywhere on Twitter. People are talking a lot around engineering MLOps. So I had a question around MLOps. It was, basically, what is it that MLOps can do? And since you were talking about DevOps, that maybe DevOps or DataOps can't do. So what is it? What is it that MLOps can do actually?
yes. So let's talk about DevOps and also like a bit about how software has evolved quickly. So if you see when we started to develop software, when we invented internet, we used waterfall model to develop software where it was a unidirectional way of developing software, and you would just keep developing until you reach the final product and you just do away with the project. Then
Yeah,
we came up with agile way of developing software where it was bi-directional, where you can talk to your customers or your users and iterate multiple times in order to make the product better. So after agile, we went to DevOps. DevOps was really IT mindset or a bi-directional way of developing software using continuous integration and continuous deployment, where you have these dev, QA, and prod instances to iteratively take your software to production. And DevOps has encouraged communication and also integration within the organization. So that's how software has developed, and DevOps will not is not able to fulfill all the requirements that are needed to make AI softwares, such as data is changing and evolving. We
yeah,
need a way to track data sets that we are constantly training our models. So
right,
MLOps provides Git, kind of like Git for data, where you version all your data, you catalog your data as the data changes, and then it provides a Git for your models, or you can say a registry or a repository for your models, where you version your models with the data that you have trained. So these kind of features are missing in DevOps because DevOps is typically used to develop iterative software, and now AI software is not deterministic. We don't have much rules, but it's algorithms that are driving. So there needed to be a shift in the way we think. So MLOps is facilitating model registry or model versioning, data
right.
versioning, source code versioning, deployment tracking, and also monitoring your machine learning models in production with the
Right.
business decisions that is making to drive value. So it's really kind of a package to facilitate this non-deterministic way of developing software in a systematic, transparent, and explainable way.
Wow, and that's a very powerful way as well. MLOps is actually very powerful. Like it actually now get the difference between why what it is, the DevOps and DataOps, why are they so different from MLOps now. So thanks for that, Emmanuel. And we had a question around AI from Robert Robinson. Does genuine AI suffer from a lack of use cases? Interesting question.
Yeah, interesting way of looking at it. I would say when there's not a business use case or a problem to solve, what good is AI or any other technology for that case? So if we don't have use cases, of course, just having this mindset that I will use AI to do something cool is not going to bring great value. So we need to have those use cases and those business problems, exciting business problems. I think AI can solve a lot of them and bring great business value, especially where we live in this world of data that is constantly being generated. So lack of use cases, AI won't do much good. So we need those problems and use cases to work around with AI.
Okay, yeah, definitely it does make sense. And also, I don't know if my question was any different, but Joel Raj had a question here. Uh, how different is MLOps from the classic DevOps? So,
Yeah, I think we touched upon it quite recently. MLOps is different from DevOps because it brings in machine learning capabilities and non-deterministic way of developing
mhm,
software. So all these features of data versioning, data cataloging, model versioning, deployments tailored for machine learning software, and also monitoring in production. That's how MLOps is a bit different from DevOps because you need also a different way of monitoring your system for machine learning. You need to understand what decisions are the models making and why is it happening and in a transparent manner so that you really can explain your decisions and create the best value. And also have this continual learning ability, which is lacking from DevOps, traditional DevOps practice, which is more geared towards deterministic software. So continual learning is all about using the real world production data and continuously training your models and making them adapt to the change that is happening out there. So MLOps brings all these capabilities to the table, which DevOps might was not able to address previously.
okay, that's awesome. So, before I pick up your book, I would just like to let people know that we are giving away your book, and there's another chance to win your book, which is by typing hashtag MLOps in the comment section. So, do not forget to do that. And there was a question by the winner himself, Akshay Toshniwal. So, let's take this question. What do you think is more complex to work on? Is it building scalable ML models or successfully having ML ops in place? Interesting question.
Hmm. I think it helps if we change the way we think when we develop software. And 3 years or 4 years back, how we as data scientists or engineers, we used to first focus on creating cool models. So people were developing their models in notebooks and later would look at the process of how to deploy it. So
Mhm.
this way of developing machine learning has given us not so promising results in terms of productionizing models. So I think more complex or more smarter way of building AI is to build this MLOps, the pipeline, have that in place, the end-to-end pipeline, by using a simple baseline model to begin with. And then once you have this pipeline, which is the complex part, of course, compared to building a scalable model. But once you have that in place, then you can really build upon developing your models in a scalable way to serve your business problems. You can keep improving once you have this process in place. So how complex is it? It depends on the kind of tools and infrastructure you work around. But at least you have this systematic way of putting all these things in place, which is MLOps.
Awesome. I think that definitely answers Akshay's question. And also, talking about your book, Engineering MLOps, I wanted to know what was the motivation for you to write a book? Like, what's the story behind writing such an amazing book? And now it's been like the talk of the town. It's all over the internet. So, what's your story behind it?
Yeah, it's really coming from a place where I was motivated to help others because I was facing challenges while learning MLOps myself 3 years back because not
Mhm.
many resources were out there, and especially the hands-on resources. And even like if you look at the internet right now, there's a lot of information scattered about MLOps, and there are really hands-on resources are needed, and it might help people to quickly learn MLOps. It took me 3 years to learn or get expertise in it, and so you can get that expertise by reading this book and implementing that hands-on business problem mentioned in the book. So my motivation was to help others to onboard this powerful technology because I really believe MLOps is bringing value for the businesses to use AI in their operations and helping them integrate AI in their software.
Right.
So that was really the motivation, and also I'll give you some of my secrets. So
Yeah.
10 years back, when I was university student. I was not the brightest student, as I said before. So
Yeah.
everyone has weaknesses. I had weaknesses. I was not really good at communicating or even writing proper English. So
Mm.
when I look back, I really wanted to overcome those weaknesses. So over the years, I was able to write some research papers, improve on those weaknesses, and eventually I wanted to conquer that by using writing as a medium, and I enjoyed the process. And thanks to my publishers, Pact, were of great help throughout the process. I really enjoyed working with
Wow.
them. Yeah, these were some of the reasons, and it's really to help people out there to onboard this technology in a hands-on way. Because what good it is to know just the theory and not know the practical application of it. So, it really gives you a head start.
Wow, this is fantastic journey and a great way to actually help the community as well, because you have faced those issues in your MLOps journey, and you want to make sure that with the book, it kind of makes it better for the people who are interested to learn more about it. So thanks for that, obviously, Emmanuel. But we had an interesting question since you were talking around the success. Okay, yeah, here it is. So, okay, it's Mike Nash. So the question is from Mike. Do you think MLOps is going to improve the success of AI commercially?
Yeah, I really believe it's going to improve the success of AI commercially. And
Hmm.
MLOps, I can share some of the use cases of how MLOps has really improved the business or helped AI commercially for the businesses. So one of the use cases was I worked on a project with a hospital which had a lot of researchers
Yeah,
using a powerful compute and GPU sources, researchers
yeah,
using a powerful compute and GPU sources, which were incurring costs because these GPUs were running all the time in the premises. So we needed to build a process or a pipeline which would dynamically use computation whenever it was needed, and also the resources dynamically to be used whenever it was needed, not run them 24/7. So it helped reduce the costs up to 30%. So 30% of costs can be up to hundreds of thousands of euros for such a big
hmm,
organization. And also, I worked on another project where data scientists were working in a manufacturing company, a big manufacturing company. There are 50 or 70 different data scientists all working on different models, and they lacked this process where they could transparently collaborate with each other. And that's where MLOps comes in. It gives you a platform to
hmm,
monitor your operations so that different people are not replicating and doing the same mundane tasks, but you can see everything in front of your eyes on the platform. And it saves a lot of time for the data scientists and also the business stakeholders to see transparently what is happening. And the data scientists testified that they were able to save around 40% of their time doing something meaningful rather than building those same mundane data pipelines and also putting those models in production. And
right,
also another aviation company that testified that using the CI/CD pipelines that we were able to deploy, they were able to improve their time for deploying the models into production 10 times to what they used to do. So by just one click of a button, you're able to deploy a machine learning model in production within 10 minutes. That's how it goes. So MLOps is really changing how AI projects are developed, and I think it will give a lot of commercial success also to businesses. We've discovered this great process to bring value
Hmm.
AI to business.
Okay, that is definitely a great answer to a great question. So, to ask you more about the book, what was that one challenge that you faced while writing the book, or maybe there might be many challenges while writing the book. So, what were these challenges, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, the challenges really were to first of all get the structure of the book so that it's easy to digest for the readers.
Exactly.
If you have a great structure, everything is in place, it's easy to digest. So that was the first challenge when I was starting the book because there's so much information out there about MLOps, what to
Right.
take, what not to take, and how to give it in easy way. Readers are able to understand everything. So those were the
True.
challenges, and once you get that in place while writing the book, also like we need to get in the flow in order to finish those chapters and really write that. So I think colleagues at Pact really helped me keep going in a discipline, and it really takes discipline to finish the project in time. And also my motivation to help others that really kept me because I'm really passionate
Exactly.
about that topic. All of this helped me overcome those challenges.
Wow, that's a fantastic way to, just uh, overcome your challenges, and a great way to credit everyone. But it's definitely your hard work that goes in at the first. So well done, Emmanuel. And also, there was a question around your book by Kate. Which chapter took you the longest to complete?
That's a good question.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the chapters which contain content about monitoring the machine learning
Mhm.
systems, because there's a lot of content out there, and there are still some gray areas, and different companies try to develop or monitor models in different ways. So I wanted to standardize or create a holistic approach to monitor models. So chapter 11, which contains key
Yes,
concepts monitor machine learning models. I was developing this explainable monitoring framework, talking to tens of data scientists out there from this different organizations on the way they do it, and taking those inputs into consideration and creating this explainable monitoring framework, which takes into account data drift, model drift, application performance, bias, and also explainable AI methods to explain a model. And this kind of framework was exciting to develop, but took some time also to make sure, also to include governance part because we need to govern ML systems while monitoring them in production so that we get the best business value out of all of it. So chapter 11 it is.
awesome. So chapter 11, monitoring, is the longest that you took. I know Kate is writing a book on colors, visualization, and all of those things. So that's why she's keen to know about what chapter takes how long. So all the best, Kate, and thanks for that question. And we had an interesting question from Saurabh. How can MLOps practices play a role in dealing with the problems such as biases or privacy issues in the models? What would you suggest must be incorporated in the AI solutions? Interesting.
Yes, I would really suggest to check out this explainable monitoring framework again in the 11th chapter. It deals with really getting hands-on with bias and addressing it with privacy issues for the models as well.
Mhm.
What kind of practices? I would say that it depends from model to model, of course. Once we need to have a know-how of how the model is making decisions, and in order to use that, there are a couple of methods to assess the model performance. I would recommend if it's a simple machine learning algorithm, so you can backtrack the decisions, and if it's a tree-based algorithm or a vector-based algorithm, you can know it's easy to understand the decisions in relation with the data. But if it's a black box or deep learning model, there are a couple of methods out there, which is the SHAP method, Shapley additive SHAP method, and also the second, the line method also. It gives you the calibration with the feature attribution and helps you understand what features are making decisions or what features have higher weights in terms of making decisions. So having such practices involves your monitoring monitoring pipeline, which is all about monitoring data drift, model drift, application performance. Also, if there are any biases, and then looking at taking certain actions based on alerts to govern the ML system. So all of these kind of practices will help you to understand the bias. The bias is a comprehensive problem. You need to have a comprehensive outlook and a systems thinking rather than just a model thinking. So that helps to understand the relationship with the action that the machine learning system is taking to the input data that is going on inside. And of course, you've got to use best practices or methods out there to understand your decision making of the model. That's a good
Awesome.
question.
Yeah, very cool question, Saurabh. Thanks for asking that question. And also, I can see Matthew is here. Cross-trained mind, I know it's Matthew. So, Matthew had a question. Do you see any problem with the monetization of ML?
Yeah, that's a good question. It really comes down to the problem that's in hand. If there's a lot of demand to solve that problem, of course, there's a lot of scope to monetize. You can monetize using ML, and ML, of course, will help you monetize based on the value that you can generate from data. So it's really about the kind of data that you're getting and what value can you drive out of that data, and that really will give you key insights to monitor or monetize your system or your models or your data. So ML will certainly help you with monetizing.
Okay, that's fantastic. A great discussion around book, ML engineering ops. People, the draw is still open. You guys can mention hashtag MLOps in the chat section to win engineering MLOps. Until we have 3 to 4 minutes to go, I would want to ask something around actually conferences to you. So, Emmanuel, do you attend conferences? If yes, which are these conferences, and do you like conferences?
Yeah, I really like conferences and especially used to go for them before the pandemic hit
Mhm.
and the world turned virtual, of course. But
Yeah.
conferences are really a good place to network and get a real feel of how of transferring knowledge or interacting and sharing knowledge. So,
Exactly.
I've attended some really cool conferences and I keep myself busy with research. So I focus on attending
Mhm.
those AI research conferences such as ICML or NIPS or IEEE conferences and these kind of conferences.
Awesome. So basically, that is very interesting, and also I wanted to know what's next for you. What's okay? We know that you've published a book now. You've come up with a book. Is there a second edition? It's too early to ask, obviously. So I wouldn't ask that. Is there a second edition? But what's next for you? What are you planning to do? What's coming up in MLOps? Do we have more content coming from you?
Yeah, I'm really excited about MLOps personally. So I made this my mission to democratize this process or technology because there's this powerful technology AI. It really needs to be
Yeah.
integrated into software.
Yeah.
So I'm working on making a video course as well, where
Mhm.
the course takes you through steps to build a MLOps pipeline to build, deploy, and monitor your machine learning systems. So it's going to be available in Udemy, and it will come out in the second week of July. So we'll
Wow.
have this book as well as the online course to take you through because people want to learn in different ways. Some enjoy reading book, some
Yeah.
enjoy looking at videos. So working on that, and I made it a mission for this year to democratize MLOps. So I'm excited about this.
Wow, this is fantastic. So everything around MLOps, you'll have a book. Now you already have a book. Now you'll have a course as well to complement your book very well. And I think by end of this year, you'll be coming up with more content. We just can't wait to learn more about your journey. But talking of that, obviously now it's time for the draw. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So all the best, everyone. People who are joining in again. MLOps is something what you need to just put in the chat section, and you'll be out there for the draw. I'll just give them 1 minute more and ask you another question, Emmanuel. So, okay, we know that the book has come out. Do you plan to write another book anytime soon?
Yeah, let's see what downloads we get. And yeah, there are a couple of ideas,
Hmm.
and especially we are heading more towards this world of generating software in a non-deterministic way. So
Yeah.
I have a couple of ideas around AI ops, edge computing, and all of these. So we'll see how things go. And I really am passionate about democratizing these technologies and letting others know, because the world will be better if more people know this.
Wow. I like your attitude really towards MLOps and making MLOps very much available for everyone and doing all the best things. So thanks for that, Emmanuel. Let's do the giveaway and all the best, everyone. Let's see who the winner is. All right. I can see Akshay again. Oh, Akshay,
Who answers it?
you are lucky twice today. So we'll just give this chance to someone else. So there's a draw again. I can see Akshay is super lucky today. All right. Oh my.
Wow,
Wow.
that's
Akshay, I think you really love the book already, don't you? It's the third time that Akshay has won in the draw. This is fantastic. If not, if this time Akshay you come up, we'll need to choose a winner after the show. Okay.
oh.
Wow, it's Matthew, and Matthew did mention that he loves MLOps. And I won't let this question go away because he asked a very important question. So before we wrap up, let's take this question from Matthew. Given the constant change at any business, how does MLOps keep up? How often do you have to change the MLOps process to keep it relevant? Very interesting question.
Very good question. As I said before, MLOps is all about data, business, and machine learning. So business is really the focus. So we are living in a world where data is constantly changing, and processes are evolving. Of course, MLOps is geared to adopt to this change. So uh, I say once you make the pipeline and once you have the end-to-end pipeline in place, at least the pipeline will be adopted to adopt to the changing data and also to the changing models as well. So you don't have to do a lot of change in that place, but maybe you'll have to update your infrastructure as you go along on driving your business. And if you want to change your infrastructure, of course, you need to keep changing components in the pipeline. So that's how I predict some things can change in envelope process. But business is changing, data is changing, MLOps is all there to adapt to all of that. So once you have this pipeline in place, so you don't need to change a lot of things, and that's all MLOps is about.
Awesome. I think that definitely answers Matthew's question. A great session, Emmanuel. I really liked the background and the present and the future about your book, Engineering MLOps, about MLOps. And thank you everyone for joining in. We have Robert who says he enjoyed the session and he'll make sure to pick up your book. So all the best and looking forward to your Udemy course as well. So it was fantastic talking to you, Emmanuel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ravit. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you everyone for joining in. Take care. Bye bye. Have a nice evening.